What is up, you guys? Shan's here, and I'm so excited to bring you another episode of the Completely Living Podcast, where we talk Bible, faith, and go wherever the Holy Spirit leads us. And today we're going to be talking about Job chapters 4 through 12. So I know in the last video we went through chapter 3, which was Job lamenting about all of the things he's going through. And 4 through 12 is kind of the start of the discussion of suffering and friendship. Okay, the suffering and friendship. And we saw previously in reading Job that his friends came and they were, they saw him, they saw in what bad shape he was in, and they sit with him in silence and they're just present with him for 7 days. But now, after these 7 days, we have his friends speaking, okay? And so we want to talk about what his friends are saying. Is what they're saying right? Is this how you're supposed to act as a friend to somebody who's suffering, or are these things even helpful when somebody is suffering? So in chapter 4, we first have his friend Eliphaz, who is deciding to talk. Right off the top, he's just kind of like, can I have a word with you, Job? And he points out Job is, you're the guy who's always preaching God to us. And in chapter 4, verse 5, he says, but now when trouble strikes, you lose heart. You're terrified when it touches you. Verse 6, doesn't your reverence for God give you confidence? Doesn't your life of integrity give you hope? Eliphaz, how is this helpful? Really, how is this helpful to point out, remember when everything was good and you were talking about God and now you're not? You're going through trouble. Shouldn't you be happy? It seems kind of mocking and disingenuous. I don't need this. This is not helpful. Okay, don't say anything if you're going to say this. Then he goes on in verse 7 and 8. He says, stop and think. Do the innocent die? When have the upright been destroyed? My experience shows that those who plant trouble and cultivate evil will harvest the same. So Eliphaz is implying that Job deserves this because he must have sinned. He did something and sinned and caused this. First of all, Eliphaz, stop and think, do the innocent die? Yes. Am I missing something? Because it seems like he was expecting a no to that. The innocent don't die. It's the guilty that die. But okay, unless you're saying all of mankind is guilty, which is also true. What are you trying to say here? And then my experience shows that those who plant trouble and cultivate evil will harvest the same. Okay, congratulations for your experience. I'm offended for Job. But he's saying, you deserve this. You must have sinned. Okay, and he goes on, verse 17. Can a mortal be innocent before God? Can anyone be pure before the Creator? If God does not trust his own angels and has charged his messengers with foolishness, how much less will he trust people he made of clay? Now, I understand the idea of can you be innocent before God? And then answer being no, because we are, because ever since Adam and Eve sinned, we're kind of all in this sinful nature. I understand that. But I also think that, honestly, Eliphaz, I think you're a little bit wrong in saying that, if God doesn't trust the angels, why would he trust humans? He's kind of putting angels on a pedestal. And I don't know, maybe that is the right hierarchy. But the way that I look at it is God made humans in his image. And I'm pretty sure elsewhere in the Bible, it says that we are going to judge the angels. So I'm not saying that Eliphaz is armed with that particular piece of information, but I'm just saying, don't forget that you're made in God's image. And yes, he cares about you. Yes. Don't diminish it because we're made of clay or whatever. I just thought that was interesting. Okay. So then he continues. Eliphaz continues, and we're in chapter 5 now. Chapter 5, verse 8. If I were you, I would go to God and present my case to him. Stop. If I were you, can you not? Have you ever had the friends who are in the situation, you're in a situation and your friend is trying to give you advice and they're if I were you, I would, each person's experience is unique. Okay. And I understand that you think you would act and do things a certain way, but you don't know exactly what that particular person is going through. Even if you have a similar situation, even if you have similarly lost someone that they've like a family member that they've lost or something. Each person's experience is unique, and you shouldn't just, oh, if I were you, I would blah, blah, blah. Like, can you just stop talking? Like, his friends just make me, obviously I have some animosity about his friends, and I might need to talk to somebody about that. Okay. Then, still in chapter 5, in the middle of verse 17, do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. Again, you're telling him that he sinned and that he deserves this. We know that the real story behind why Job is in this situation is because the accuser went before God and said the only reason that Job is such a good person and worships you is because he hasn't had to deal with any hardships and he's rich and he has everything he needs. And so God allowed these bad things to happen to Job in order to kind of prove to the accuser, like, listen, he is not going to be the person who blames God. Well, not in a, you're going to see, he might actually blame God for some of the things he's going through, but he's not going to curse God, you know? So we know this as the reader, we understand the context, but Eliphaz is like, don't despise God when you sin. Like, you don't know everything, Eliphaz. Ugh. Verse 20, he will save you from death in time of famine, from the power of the sword in time of war. I feel like he's saying good things about God, but he's saying some good things, but it's still like from this place of misunderstanding. Like, he's saying he'll do these good things for you, but when you sin, he's going to do these bad things to you, which I don't think is accurate. And then at the end of chapter 5, verse 27, we have studied life and found all this to be true. Listen to my counsel and apply it to yourself. Don't be so self-important, sir. Like, listen to my counsel. Listen to my counsel. First of all, okay, God didn't say, have you heard of my servant Eliphaz? He's coming up, have you heard of my servant Job? Like, how dare you talk about listen to my counsel? It's just so interesting. People think, like, they think that they hold, sometimes people think they hold this, like, status. Like, listen to my counsel. I know what I'm talking about. I will listen to God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus. Thank you. Thank you, Eliphaz. Okay. So now Job is going to respond to Eliphaz in chapter 6. And chapter 6, verse 4, we have Job saying, for the Almighty has struck me down with his arrows. Their poison infects my spirit. God's terrors are lined up against me. And it makes me sad because Job is assuming that God is doing this to him. Like, Job, no, it makes me so sad. Like, God is not doing this to you. The accuser is doing this to you. The enemy is doing this to you. We live in a fallen world, and that's why bad things happen to people. It reminds me, like, so many people say, like, well, if God was real, then why do bad things happen, right? Like, they don't believe in God because they see all the pain and the suffering in the world. And they're not understanding that in reality, God never designed human beings to have to deal with that. And he never wanted us to have to deal with pain and suffering. We had the freedom of choice. Adam and Eve chose to bring sin into the world. And now that's something that we have to deal with. We have to deal with the consequences of living in a fallen world. And it's terrible. And it sucks. We have to deal with these consequences, but it's not God doing it to us. We brought this on ourselves in the choices that we made. God's not inflicting this on us. And it makes me sad that Job is sitting here saying, for the Almighty has struck me down with his arrows. He hasn't. That's the enemy's arrows. Okay. And then later on, verse 8, 9, and 10, and maybe I'll even go into 11. Oh, that I might have my request, that God would grant my desire. I wish he would crush me. I wish he would reach out his hand and kill me. At least I can take comfort in this. Despite the pain, I have not denied the words of the Holy One. But I don't have the strength to endure. I have nothing to live for. First of all, I do appreciate that he's saying, I have not denied the words of the Holy One. So he's going through all this pain. He wants to no longer be living, but he's saying, I still haven't denied God, but I just don't have it in me to keep going. this reminds me of those people that you meet in your life who have come to accept and speak out of their mouth the word curses over their lives. So him saying, I don't have the strength to endure. I have nothing to live for. I mean, first of all, his wife is still living, so let's not try to overanalyze their relationship. But do you really want to say that over your life, that you have nothing else, that you have nothing to live for? Don't say these word curses over your life. And I know it's easier said than done, especially when you're going through something, but don't accept this. Don't just say these word curses over your life, say you have nothing left and act like you're about to give up. No, like, even if you do feel like you're at the end of your rope, cry out to God. Like, ask him to carry you. You can't walk anymore, ask him to carry you, but don't just accept it. Okay. Then verse 25. Honest words can be painful, but what do your criticisms amount to? Do you think your words are convincing when you disregard my cry of desperation? Yeah, exactly. Job's like, you don't have to say everything that crosses your mind. Like, honest words can be painful. What you say might be true. It might be true. You don't have to, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Do that. Say nothing. Just because what you're saying is honest doesn't mean I need this. I don't need to hear this right now. You know, I didn't ask you. Okay. And then verse 29, stop assuming my guilt, for I have done no wrong. So I like that he's like defending himself to Eliphaz, like, stop telling me I sinned and that I deserve this. I don't. Which we, as the reader, know is true. He was blameless before God. Not that he was sinless, but that he was blameless. There's a difference. And I'm not saying that he has never sinned, but he was the type of man who was repenting and offering sacrifices for his sin if he had done anything. And he's saying, like, stop assuming I'm guilty. Okay. And he goes on in chapter 7, verse 1, is not all human life a struggle? Oof. Say it again. Say it again. Human life, a struggle. Yes, it is, because we live in a fallen world. Okay. Yes. Then he goes on, right? Verse 13. I think my bed will comfort me and sleep will ease my misery. But then you shatter me with dreams and terrify me with visions. I would rather be strangled, rather die than suffer like this. It's just such a sad, like, he wants to find comfort in sleep. And even in his sleep, he's having bad dreams. And he's just like, oh, he's exhausted. He's exhausted. But also he's still talking to God, and he's thinking that this is God who's doing this. It's not God. And then he goes on in verse 17. What are people that you should make so much of us, that you should think of us so often? Isn't that like part of a song? Is that where the song is from? Is it true that you are thinking of me, that you love me? I don't, y'all know the song? Write it in the comments if you do. Okay. Verse 18, for you examine us every morning and test us every moment. Why won't you leave me alone? Ooh, Job, you talking crazy to God. You really are talking crazy to God. Okay. Does God test us at every moment? Is that true? I'm not saying like it's true because Job said it. He's saying a lot of things that aren't necessarily true. I'm just kind of wondering, like, every moment? All right, chapter 8, we have Bildad come in. And Bildad's take is basically that Job's kids must have sinned. So they're trying to find the reason. For it. So like, oh, well, if you're going through this, your kids must have sinned. And okay, so let's see. Chapter 8, verse 3. Does God twist justice? Does the Almighty twist what is right? Your children must have sinned against him, so their punishment was well deserved. Let me get this right. This man lost all 10 of his kids, and you, as his friend, have decided to say their punishment was well deserved. They must have sinned, so they deserve this. Why are any of his friends talking to him? I'm almost inclined to think, I don't know. I can't wait. I'll ask God when I get there. Are these real people, or are these just like versions of like ourselves or the enemy, like coming to talk to us, like saying this crazy stuff? Because what friend is going to say this to your face? Really? Okay. So anyway, Bildad says all this stuff in verse 20, but look, God will not reject a person of integrity, nor will he lend a hand to the wicked. So he's it's still this blame. It's still this blame game. And here's the thing. It reminds me of, I think it's in the book of John where like the disciples they're with Jesus, and they see the blind man and they say, Jesus, who sinned? Like this guy or his parents? Like, why is he blind? Because they're looking for the reason. People are constantly looking for the reason why bad things happen. And Jesus said, Jesus said, neither one. This is so that my glory could be like shown on earth, or something of that. I'm paraphrasing. But then Jesus is able to heal him. So it was in order to show God's glory. Like there's not always this like sin, punishment. This person sinned, so now they're going through this bad thing kind of situation going on. And we, as readers of the Bible, have the benefit of knowing that. But Job didn't have the benefit of knowing that at the time. But then that makes me think of the disciples. They had the benefit of knowing the book of Job. So they knew that sometimes bad things just happen because of there's a spiritual something going on. Like some things are not explained on a human level. It's above our pay grade. They had the benefit of knowing this, and they still didn't get it. We as humans sometimes we just don't get it. We just don't get it. Okay. Let's see. Chapter 9. Job, chapter 9, verse 3, he says, if someone wanted to take God to court, would it be possible to answer him even once in 1,000 times? For God is so wise and so mighty. Who has ever challenged him successfully? I do respect that Job understands the power of God. Okay. Then in verse 22, he says, innocent or wicked, it is all the same to God. That's why I say he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. I disagree. It is not all the same to God, and God is not destroying the blameless and the wicked. God's not destroying anybody. In fact, God created humans with the idea that we would have eternal life, that we would live always. We would have a life that never ends and get to be in communion and friendship with him. He's not destroying the blameless and the wicked. Like, chill. But okay. Job continues, and he's pleading to God, and we're in chapter 10 now. Verse 3, what do you gain by oppressing me? You're straight up going to come to God and say, what do you gain by oppressing me? First of all, we all know it's not God oppressing him. But second of all, the audacity. It's kind of like, okay, the audacity, but also you can come to God with your questions. You can come to God with your questions and ask the hard stuff, but like that's a big question to ask God. Okay. Chapter 11, we get to Zophar. And Zophar's take on it, this whole thing is basically, Job, you deserved worse. Okay? Let me show you. So, chapter 11, verse 3, he says, should I remain silent while you babble on? Babylon. Did that? I thought it was interesting. Okay, no, verse 4. You claim my beliefs are pure and I am clean in the sight of God. If only God would speak. If only he would tell me what he thinks. If only he would tell you the secrets of wisdom, for true wisdom is not a simple matter. Listen, God is doubtless punishing you far less than you deserve. So he's like, be happy that you're only losing all of your wealth and your children and your home and your farm and all of your animals and your body and health and everything, just because it could be worse. Zophar, go Zophar from me. Like, don't be over here. Go away. It's so just nasty. Okay. Verse 13, if only you would prepare your heart and lift up your hands to him in prayer. Well, thank you, Zophar. If only I had known to pray. Like, are you not watching? He is praying this whole time. He is talking to God this whole time. And it's interesting to me that maybe Zophar doesn't see this dialogue or this conversation or these questions that he's asking God as prayer. But they are. They absolutely are. You can ask questions to God in prayer. But like, oh, if only you prayed, you'd be... But like, if somebody says that to you, like, I am dealing with something. Don't tell me, oh, you just need to pray. Just say nothing. Okay, Lord, okay, help me get through this. Chapter 12. So Job responds to Zophar, and verse 2, he says, "You people really know everything, don't you? And when you die, wisdom will die with you." The sarcasm. Yes, I appreciate the sarcasm. Like, oh, you're so wise. The prayer, thanks. When you die, wisdom dies because you're just so wise. Verse 4, "Yet my friends laugh at me, for I call on God and expect an answer." I think it's interesting, like, he expects an answer, and I think it's okay to expect an answer from God as long as you know that God is sovereign. God owes you nothing. God can answer or not answer. God is God. Like, you can call on God. You can even expect an answer, but that doesn't mean you're going to get one. Yeah, so that's where we're going to end it here. He obviously responds some more to Zophar, but I just love that. I want to end it on Job's sarcasm, like, wisdom must die with you. And he's saying, I expect an answer from God. Like, at least he's asking God those hard questions. But yeah, I just feel like this whole representation of the friends, it's just, I would love to know what your take is on, like, what do these friends represent? Are they actual human people, real human beings talking to Job? Or are they like Job's mind talking to him? Like, is it different facets of him? It's just all very interesting. But we can get into the rest of it next time. We're going to continue going through the book of Job. So please, if you enjoy this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, go to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe all over the place, do anything to support the channel. It really does mean so much to me. I appreciate you. And I will see you next time.